The Whippet. Beautiful, calm, graceful, and often the victim of its owner's good intentions. A breed that's occasionally made of glass and nonsense, so it's easy to get things wrong. They have this magical way of making you feel like an expert one day and a total beginner the next, and that's fine. Mistakes are just a part of being human. The only real mistake is refusing to learn from them. So in the spirit of honesty and mild self-exposure, let's go through some of the most common mistakes Whippet owners make. Because we have all been there and we might as well prevent new Whippet servants from getting fired. If you're new here, I'm Addie and I've had Whippets for 17 years. I've been owned by 10 of them, currently 6, and I make breed-specific videos to help existing and future Whippet owners. If that sounds like your kind of content, hit subscribe and join our growing Whippet family. The first and most obvious one is getting a Whippet on an impulse. They have this way of stealing your heart before your brain even gets a chance to join the conversation. It's so easy to fall for the picture of a quiet, short-haired, graceful, and very clean house dog. And then reality hits. Suddenly, you're dealing with an emotional athlete who wants to be glued to your side 24/7, preferably under a blanket, but will also lose their entire mind the moment the neighbor's cat even thinks about existing. True story, by the way, lately our neighbor's cat is trying very hard to become a Sighthound chew toy, and that terrifies me. Whippets, as wonderful as they are just not a good fit for every human and lifestyle. This is perfectly fine. I love cockatoos and have spent months researching them, but I'm well aware I'm not equipped to own one. I'm simply not a good fit. It always makes me a bit sad when someone says they adore their Whippet, but if they had known what living with one really is, they probably wouldn't have chosen the breed. What breaks my heart even more is seeing Whippets rehomed when their separation anxiety spirals out of control, something that can often be prevented with more research and realistic expectations from the start. So take your time, learn about the breed, even if it takes weeks or months. Because rushing into getting a Whippet or any dog can lead to more than regret and an unhappy household. It also leads to supporting bad breeding practices, because backyard breeders and puppy mills rely on impulsive, misinformed buyers who want a dog now. Few things make me gag instantly. The first ones that come to mind are boiled eggs, worms, and these. Why do some people actively avoid trimming their Whippet's nails? What's the backstory? Does it feel like a chore? Do they not realize the nails have grown painfully long? Or do their Whippets despise the whole process, making it dreadful for everyone involved? Or is it a combination of all? I'm not talking about life got in the way this week and I just couldn't get to doing my dog's nails. I'm talking about nails so overgrown they can be used as weapons at this point. Nail care is a matter of comfort and welfare. Whippets have oval, compact feet, and long nails alter the way they stand and move. Even slightly overgrown nails force them to shift weight unnaturally, which can lead to joint strain, splayed toes, arthritis, and discomfort when running, landing, or just standing. Also, they're not the most stoic breeds. They're drama queens, and the slightest discomfort can make them miserable, even if they don't make it obvious. But Addie, they're sprinters and they need nails for grip and stability. They need nails of normal, well-maintained length. And not these chopsticks that are an accident waiting to happen. And before you say I'm harsh, look at this video. This is from 2016 and it's unbelievable my own Whippet's nails used to look like this at some point. I have no recollection of this horror, so I can't really explain why, but I will not attempt to make any excuse because there really isn't any. 3 years ago I made a video on our nail trimming routine. It instantly made our whippets not just tolerate having their nails done, but impatiently wait their turn. It has remained unchanged to this day. We have found that doing nails once every 2 weeks is ideal here. They don't grow too long and we get them done in about 30-40 minutes, which is about 6 minutes per whippet. How often your whippets require a nail day will depend on each individual. Just as people, they all have different shaped nails growing at different rates. For example, Cooper's nails grow at the speed of a whippet deciding where to lie down, so he could get away with nail trimming even once a month, but he partakes in our pack ritual every time regardless. Ivy, on the other hand, has very ugly, always long-looking nails that grow very fast. Leave them alone longer than 2 weeks and they turn into daggers. And no, they won't naturally wear down from walks. Unless your whippet takes daily marathons on concrete, walks will not take your job of a nail tech, rest assured. Let's talk about a tricky one. Some whippets have this amazing talent of convincing you every meal is their last meal on earth. The big eyes, the polite begging, and the head tilt manipulate their servants into giving them just one more treat, just 10 grams more food, and that shows. No, it's not about this cozy little layer of winter fluff they collect as soon as summer ends when they enter full hibernation mode until vitamin D returns in spring. It's about when their waistline disappears completely and you're left hoping their ribs still exist somewhere underneath because you can for sure not feel them anymore. Whippets are aerodynamic little athletes. They're springy, efficient, light, and are built to be lean. Every extra kilo worn for extended periods of time is not cute. It's literally working against their structure. It strains joints, reduces stamina, and increases the risk of injury. It even shortens their lifespan. I've made a separate video on the ideal body condition of the whippet, so I will not repeat all of it here. However, I keep seeing more and more whippets that are borderline obese, and that's very concerning. And I'll be honest, I've been there. There was a time when most of my whippets were carrying extra weight, and I feel awful about it. Long story short, my theory is it was due to an improper raw diet that, in my opinion, led to hormonal imbalance, causing them to be constantly hungry, not just begging for food for the sake of it, but honestly hungry and overweight at the same time, no matter how much we restricted their portions. Combine that with not enough exercise, cause the more weight they gain, the more lethargic they become, and you've got a cycle that's hard to break. Please keep your whippets in good body condition. It's not about looks, it's about health, comfort, and quality of life. Bonus mistake: not keeping your whippets warm in winter. Luckily, that's an easy fix. You can find our Sighthound clothing and accessories from the link in the description. Now, I recently made a whole video about socialization. If you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend you do. But I still want to touch on it here, as I often see new owners not socializing their whippets enough. Whippets are polite, quiet, and gentle, the picture of emotional stability. Until one day they see a giant dog that makes them nervous, a man in a hat, or a balloon, and suddenly decide the world is ending. Under socializing doesn't always mean they become aggressive or reactive. Sometimes it just means they go through life anxious, easily startled, or too dependent on you to feel safe. That's sad to see, because confidence is something you can help build for them. But there is also something else. Socialization isn't just a box you tick off when they're puppies. It's a continuous process you should follow through as they continue to grow. When Ruby, Jamie, and Ivy were puppies, we followed a similar plan as we did with Eris. When they were a year old in 2020, a certain pandemic restricted us from leaving our home for a few months, and their socialization was paused. They went through hormonal changes after their first heats. They didn't leave home as we weren't allowed to go anywhere other than the very necessary locations. Dog owners were only allowed to walk their dogs just for the purpose of doing their business. Add a bit of general stress we had at home and a pinch of littermate syndrome and voila! our effort was undone. Once we returned to a somewhat normal way of life, we had a few incidents involving other dogs, Jamie developed reactivity, and Ruby finds it hard to trust large stranger dogs. Don't underestimate the power of proper, careful socialization. All of these circumstances were nobody's fault and couldn't have been predicted. But this experience of mine can show you the consequences of stopping with active socialization too early. And now it only seems fit the next topic is... Olele, Gurkoto. Gurkoto booby. Rewarding softness instead of building bravery. Yes, that's coming from a person with 6 whippets that have 50 beds around the house, and yet whenever someone's favorite spot is taken, I say poor thing. Meanwhile, down the street there is a stray dog that appreciates the opportunity to lie on a piece of carton. That person, yes, here I am. Sometimes we forget to treat our whippets like normal dogs. Even though, to me, Sighthounds aren't really dogs, they're imposters at best. But according to science, they are, so until science says otherwise, we'll play along. Anyway, whippets are designed to trigger our protective instincts. They have skin like tissue paper, they shiver when they're cold, they love to sleep in a nest of fleas, and have eyes that can trick you into selling your soul. The more you give in, the more they believe their own manipulation. But here is the thing, the more we shield them from life, the less they learn how to handle it on their own. And so I often see whippets that are living, breathing anxiety attacks. It starts innocently enough. You see them hesitate on a new surface, or your first reaction is to scoop them up and tell them it's okay whenever they face the smallest inconvenience. Over time, that message turns into, "You're right, I can't handle this without my servants." They are sensitive enough already, so you hovering around them chanting "poor thing" is enough to fuel the drama and imprint the wrong mindset. Let's not confuse gentle with fragile. You absolutely should be gentle and caring with your whippet. Cover them with blankets, give them a coat for their winter walks. Cuddle them. But you should also let them face little challenges and let them work through them with your guidance and encouragement when needed. Just don't do it for them and don't raise them in a bubble. They don't need us to remove the fear, they need us to show them it's safe. Next time your whippet hesitates, don't panic. Take a breath, act normal, and lead on. Teach them they can handle life one scary plastic bag at a time. And there you have it, a handful of the most common mistakes whippet owners make according to my experience and observation, most of which I myself have been guilty of at some point. And now I'm curious, what do you think is the biggest mistake whippet owners make? Let me know in the comments and maybe we'll do a part 2. So, I wish you a lovely weekend and a fantastic week afterwards, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye bye!